Hi guys, this is Jagdpanther, and today I'm gonna do something different. This will be the first ever spotlight video that I will make about tanks and a certain model of tank on any of the nation tank trees. And we're starting out with the tank destroyer sitting at rank or tier 4, or rank 4 actually it is, the Jagdpanther. And what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna talk a little bit about the history of the tank and how it was used during the war, and the development phase of developing this kind of tank destroyer. And then I will give you my impression on the tank. And bear in mind that since the tanks are still in closed beta test, this Jagdpanther Spotlight is based on my experiences from driving the tank on the CBT test server. So once this goes live, things might change, of course. But as you can see here, the Jagdpanther is a fairly well armored tank. It has sloped armor, as you can see here. It also has a machine gun for infantry support and a great gun called the Pack. Oh, that's the wrong tank. The Pack 43 L71 88mm gun that was also used on the King Tiger and the Ferdinand and the Nashorn tank destroyers. So anyway, enough milling about in the garage. Let's see some gameplay and I'll talk to you about the tank and the history of it. So, as I said before, the Jagdpanther is fitted with the same gun, or was fitted with the same gun as the both King Tiger models in the game, as well as the Ferdinand / Elephant and the Nashorn tank destroyers. It uses the Pack 43 L71 gun, where the L stands for the length 71, and it means that it's a very long gun in comparison to the shorter 88 gun that Tiger 1 uses. And they had two previous attempts on fitting the Pack 43 on a tank destroyer. The first one being the Nashorn, which is basically, or was basically, a tank destroyer made out of experimental tank called the Panzer 3/4, which was basically a Panzer 3 with a Panzer 4 turret fitted onto the Panzer 3 undercarriage. So what they did was that they took the Panzer 3/4 undercarriage and they built a superstructure on it, and they fitted the Pack 43 gun on that tank destroyer. However, what happened was that since the Panzer 3 undercarriage had such a weak motor or engine, they could only fit light armor onto the superstructure of the tank. So that made the tank destroyer only fitted for purely defensive operations, and it had to operate from an ambush position behind camouflage and all that stuff. The second attempt they made to fit the Pack 43 gun onto a tank destroyer was the Ferdinand that is actually in the game, that you can try out if you like. And it turned out to be too big too heavily armored and too slow to fit as a tank destroyer, or a Panzerjäger as the Germans call them. So the previous two attempts before the Jagdpanther to make a tank destroyer using the same gun that the Jagdpanther had were basically just last minute solvings of a problem that occurred on the Eastern Front. The fact that they came across the T-34 medium tank, the Russian superior medium tank to some of the German tanks that were used at the time. So they made tank destroyers from tanks that they had already planned in production, or prototypes of tanks that was actually coming out and being cancelled in production, such as the Panzer 3/4 and the Tiger Porsche that lost the competition against the Tiger made by Henschel. So they had to use the undercarriages for the Tiger Porsche for something, and they made the Ferdinand. Since they had these failed tanks, but they were already being in prototype stage, and they had all these kind of ready spare parts and stuff, all the stuff for them, they decided to make those tank destroyers. But at the same time, from October 1942, they launched a different project to make a tank destroyer solely made for hunting down tanks and facing the T-34 on the Eastern Front, as well as some of the heavier medium tanks that the Allied had, such as the Matilda and the Sherman. And I would say that the Pak-43 gun would be more than capable of taking out the Sherman. So yeah, since they also had a different project for a medium tank that was also supposed to face the T-34 on the Eastern Front, the Panzerkampfwagen 5, or the Panther, they decided to use the undercarriage for that new tank as a tank destroyer, and that became later on the Jagdpanther. However, when it came to the production stage of the Jagdpanther, the prototypes of the Panther had been done, and there had been new models coming out on the Panther line, if you like, and the Jagdpanther got the chassis for the Panther G, as well as an upgraded transmission that none of the Panthers had. That was from the beginning thought of as a transmission for the upcoming second version of the Panther, the Panther 2. That is also in the game, but it never really existed in reality on anything other than blueprints. The project was in review for a while, and then 14 months after, in early 1944, Hitler gave the project the thumbs up, and productions could start on the Jagdpanther, since the prototype was all done and ready and seemed to be working quite well. They started producing the tank in February 1944, and the main goal was to produce 150 Jagdpanthers per month until the end of the war. But since a lot of production sites of tanks and spare parts for them had been bombed by Allied bomber armadas. They could only reach a fraction of that number, and at the end of the war, Germans had only produced numbers differ, but somewhere between 385 to 415 Jagdpanthers. So, as I've been saying before, the Jagdpanther was intended to face the T-34. So, naturally, it saw its main use on the Eastern Front, larger numbers than on the Western Front, where Allies only saw them in small numbers up until the Battle of the Bulge in December 1944 until February 1945, where they faced them in greater numbers, where Germans used them as a part of the 12th SS Panzer Division. Of course, by then the Allies knew all about how effective the Jagdpanther was, or how effective the Pak 43 L71 gun was against the Allied armor, since they had encountered these tanks in smaller numbers during the Normandy campaign, where they proved to be absolutely devastating against Allied armor if they had the chance to set up and fire the first shot from an ambush. So the main drawback, both historically and in the game, of this tank destroyer is the fact that it actually lacks a turret. That makes you, or that forces you to rotate the whole tank in order to get the gun at bear on the enemy. So that might put you in positions where you expose your flank to enemy fire in order to get an accurate shot off at an enemy. The main strength of the tank is the absolute superb gun that can knock out most tanks in the game using stock ammo with 1 or 2 shots. Certainly with 3 shots you will knock out the tank if you hit weak spots and so on. As you could see here, I hit the ice tube with 1 shot, and that's goodbye for him since I hit the flank. Another strength of the tank that was totally unexpected for me was the fact that it has a great reverse speed. That makes you able to get out of trouble quickly and relocate to another position from where you can hide or ambush an enemy. So that's a little bit about what I think about the tank, and let's just round up the spotlight with you with this last game here that I had on the jungle map. As you can see, I've taken up a flanking position here on the side of the jungle map, on the southern end of the map, or the border, and I peek over this little ridge here, and I can see on the map down there to the right that there is actually a tank here, but I can't spot it. So I'm kind of looking around, and all of a sudden I see that King Tiger there has he spotted something and he seemed to be fighting it. So I just hang out here because I can't go over there. The tank is too cumbersome and heavy to start climbing over hills and stuff, or rocks. But then they come over the edge and they reverse, or that IS-2 reversed down into the little gully in front of me, so I just pop up and I take a shot at that IS-2 in order to help the King Tiger out. I don't want to take the kill away from him, but I just want to help him, so I put one round into the engine and he was set ablaze by it. Unfortunately, that King Tiger was later on killed by the IS-2, so I kinda hang out here and I'm a bit concerned about where that IS-2 is going. So I go down and I can see that he's reversing with the turret to his back to look where he's going, and that gives me a good opportunity to just get free shot in on him without having to risk of getting knocked out by his gun. So I went down and took that chance. And there's the Panzerkampfwagen 2, and he's friendly, so I don't need to mind him too much. So I kind of park here below the trees and some good cover. Decide to use my camouflage to in order to just wait out the enemy to see what they do. And I can't really see anything, so I decide to just turn a bit to the right here, and then all of a sudden there's a SU-100 coming out around the rock. So I just traverse back and I take that snapshot at him and kill him. So that was lucky. I had a feeling that there was a tank around that area, because I had seen one earlier on, but I couldn't or make sure whether he had moved on or whether he was still there, so that was why I sort of parked and hung out around that spot for a while. So I kind of move up here. I want to help out my teammate who is capping the enemy base. So I move through this the foliage, taking my time, because I know that there might be tanks around here. And I can see that there's a tank somewhere around. I suspect that that might be the SU-100 that I just killed. He might have a respawn, so and I can see he's moving, but I can't spot him, so I decide to, in order to help out my teammate, I'm going to flank the SU-100. So I go around the main area where the enemy has their spawn. Let's just roll up, and I try to park myself where I can provide some cover for my team capping. So I'm looking for a good spot where I have a lot of a field of view over the battlefield. That's when my King Tiger teammate gets killed. And I can see that there is a tank here, but I don't know where he is. So I expect or suspect that he's behind the little mound of dirt here near the cap area, that he's hiding out. So I can park here to wait to see whether he moves or not. And it turns out he doesn't, so I roll up. However, I've been suspecting that there's a tank right there, behind the mound of dirt there, but I am wrong. He is on the other side of the cap circle, in the thick foliage of the palm trees. So as I move out here, I'm actually exposing myself to his fire, his field of view, and I don't know what kind of tank it is at the moment. The name of the tank popped up in a kill feed earlier, so some of you might have seen it. but I did not know that what I was going up against was indeed not a T-44 that I thought when I saw the turret here. It was indeed IF-3, one of the nastiest tanks you can encounter in the game. Yeah, once I saw those handlebars on the side of the turret, I was I was starting to fear this tank, because I know how tough and rugged they are. One shot from that gun can knock me out easily, but it seems like I've damaged his gun, so what he did in order to get an accurate shot at me once the gun is in action again was that he moved out of his cover, so that gave me a good shot at his lower glacis plate twice, and that was what took him out. So, I hope people that you have enjoyed this little spotlight video. If you do, please let me know and I'll make more videos like this about different tanks or other tanks in the game. And if you want to see a spotlight of a certain tank, please let me know and I'll try to make one for them. Until then, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys around.